I'm the simp side character for the female lead. After realizing I'd never get the girl, I started slacking off. Surprisingly, this made the female lead anxious. She bombarded me with messages, demanding to know where I was. Annoyed, I replied, even working stiffs get weekends. Can't I have a single day off? She responded with a single question mark. Then, well, consider that skipping class. Seriously? The simp side character has to attend advanced physics? Groaning, I reluctantly dragged myself out of bed, grabbed my textbook, and rushed to class. The system only told me to be her simp. It never said anything about studying. Damn it, I failed physics last time I lived. Do I have to go through this again? Physics and I are mortal enemies. In the classroom, Serena Sinclair, with her high ponytail, gave me a cold glance. Her voice was crisp and clear. Ethan, you're late again. I forced a conciliatory smile. Sorry, class president. I thought we didn't have class today. Thankfully, she didn't press the issue, just pointed to the empty seat beside her, silently ordering me to sit down. Clearly, she was determined to prevent me from goofing off. I remember the day I first transmigrated into this book. The system gave me two choices, simp side character or evil villain. After skimming the plot, I saw the villain had way too much screen time, so I instantly chose the simp route. I figured, one day simping, one day off, not a bad workload. I was pretty satisfied with the gig. Turns out, the system meant every single day before the male lead shows up, I have to revolve around the female lead, acting like a lovesick puppy. I calculated that the male lead wouldn't appear for another year. I instantly despaired. Worse, I had to be glued to the female lead side for that entire year. That's a 24/7 job. I need a raise. The longer the class dragged on, the more resentful I became. After all, who actually likes the class president? Even if she's beautiful. Serena Sinclair, sitting beside me, nudged my arm, reminding me to pay attention. Her profile was soft, bathed in a gentle halo from the sunlight. As a sucker for pretty faces, I couldn't resist. My gaze lingered on her face. She shot me a glare and went back to taking notes. So petty. After class, I was about to bolt when she called me back. Ethan, your physics grades are terrible. You're going to fail at this rate. I cursed inwardly. If the system hadn't forced me to be a simp, I'd be off in another world as a top student. Who wants to suffer like this? I kept my head down, silent. Serena Sinclair sighed. What are you even thinking about? You're never focused in class. I looked up, meeting her eyes directly. Thinking about you. She froze. I continued, thinking about how beautiful you are and how I can't concentrate on anything else. Serena Sinclair's face flushed crimson. She raised her hand as if to hit me. I dodged quickly and took off running. For the next few days, I steered clear of the female lead. I'd known Sarah for years and had her personality pegged. Elegant and refined on the surface, underneath it all she was a classic spoiled rich girl. The day I confessed my feelings to her, my system points unexpectedly skyrocketed. That's when I realized I lost points for not being around her, constantly reminding her of my existence. Before, I only earned 1 point a day. But when my score suddenly jumped by 20 points a few days ago, I started slacking off. At this rate, I'd soon achieve my dream life of blissful inactivity. Now, after 10 days of holing up in my dorm, my points were about to hit 0. Scrolling through my phone on my bed, I sighed in boredom. Just then, someone from Serena Sinclair's circle posted a birthday invitation. Guess I had to show my face and earn some points. I arrived a little late. Pushing the door open, I saw Serena surrounded by a crowd. Someone spotted me and started teasing. Oh look, Sarah's little puppy dog is here. Called it. Wherever Sarah is, Ethan's sure to be close behind. He owes us a drink. The others chimed in with laughter. Sarah's got all the luck with the guys. My reputation as Sarah's #1 fanboy preceded me, although it wasn't exactly something to be proud of. I took a moment to compose myself, putting on a wounded yet resilient expression as I quietly found a corner seat. My persona of the hopelessly devoted, unrequited lover was firmly in place. Today's mission, score some points. The system was practically buzzing with impatience. At this rate, when will you ever complete the mission? Sipping my juice, I said nonchalantly, the male lead doesn't show up for another year. What's the rush? Someone mentioned Sarah's one that got away, triggering a wave of wistful sighs. Many present had apparently harbored a crush on the aforementioned male god. Serena seemed preoccupied, accepting every drink offered to her. As someone approached with another glass, I watched from the sidelines. The system suddenly chimed in. Aren't you Sarah's biggest fan? Why are you just standing there? I sighed, stepping in front of Serena. Everyone, Sarah's not feeling well tonight. I'll take that for her. I raised my glass elegantly. Serena paused, Then a small smile played on her lips. Who said I couldn't drink? She snatched the glass from my hand and downed it in one gulp, then refilled it and offered it back to me. Ethan, you're not scared, are you? The room erupted in gasps. I accepted the glass, clinked it against hers, and drained it in one go. Another round of cheers followed, everyone egging us on. Get together! Get together! The alcohol hit me quickly. I swayed, leaning against her shoulder. Sarah, I murmured, feigning drunkenness. I think I'm actually a little dizzy. The karaoke room suddenly fell silent. From a corner, someone muttered, thought he could hold his liquor. Someone nearby whispered, you don't know? He's the type who could down a whole bottle of XO. The voice was soft, and others didn't notice. Serena Sinclair, supporting me, hesitated for a moment, then sighed softly, I'll take him home. As she helped me out, murmurs faintly drifted from behind. That guy's lucky. Sister Yao is actually seeing him off herself. When have you ever seen Sister Yao care about anyone else? In the parking lot, I was actually just pretending to be drunk at first. But her perfume really smelled nice, and with staying up all night, gaming yesterday, I unknowingly drifted off for real. The next day, because I overslept, Serena Sinclair marked me absent. I took out my little notebook and jotted down this debt, waiting to see how I'd mess with her when she falls in love later. Mess with her? I thought about it, then took out my phone to browse her chat history. These ambiguous messages. When the male lead sees them, he'll definitely be jealous. I smirked to myself. Even as a stumbling block, I'll have my pride. What are you grinning at? Serena Sinclair's voice suddenly sounded. I stiffly turned around and saw her standing there holding books, her face cold. I laughed awkwardly. Hey, what a coincidence. She said coldly, I was passing by and saw you here alone, afraid you were up to no good again. I took the opportunity. Then can you not mark me absent? That's a separate matter. Since you're so heartless, then I won't bother you anymore. She snorted softly. Playing pitiful won't work. You deserve your unrequited love. I lower my head. All right, accept my fate. Being a simp is pretty carefree. Simp when you want, and take a break for a few days when you don't. Seeing me like this, her gaze turned even colder. She gritted her teeth and said, Is the confession thing just over like that? My eyes lit up. Could it be you want to say yes to me? I quickly leaned closer. She glanced at me with disgust and snorted. This is school. Behave yourself. This was the first time Serena Sinclair looked at me with that kind of gaze. I suddenly realized I really was just a simp. I silently packed up my bag, turned around, and left. My heart ached, but I didn't want her to see it. Without saying goodbye, I went back to the dorm alone. Even simps get sad. I don't want to see her at all right now. Out of spite, I hadn't reached out to Serena Sinclair and even found myself a tutor, a senior student. This tutor wasn't quite what I'd imagined. My criteria were a top student, a tall beauty. She kind of ticked those boxes, but she still felt a bit off. The tutor was late, carrying a worn-out canvas bag. Her short hair was a mess, and thick black-framed glasses hid most of her face. She gave off an unkempt vibe. Beautiful yet sloppy. Can you picture it? Hi, I'm Victoria. Sorry I'm late. The subway had issues today. And she also had this stay-away vibe. Her words were practically ice-cold. Wait, Victoria? Why does that name sound so familiar? Staring at this ice-cold, impoverished-looking college student in front of me, I was speechless. The system had mentioned that this deeply scheming, villainous supporting character only ever had feelings for the gentle and wealthy male lead. And my role as her sidekick was to help her drug the male lead. Once the mission is complete, I'll be free. Looking at the villainous supporting character's icy face, I secretly gloated. Male lead, just you wait. Aren't villainous supporting characters in stories supposed to have seductive smiles? Oh no, I can't pull off that kind of laugh. The villainous supporting character shot me a disdainful look. Student, if you think it's too expensive, you can have fewer sessions, but the hourly rate is non-negotiable. Me? Victoria became my tutor, but this villainous supporting character was way off from what I expected. She was meticulous, rigid, and frighteningly cold. Staring at the dense red marks all over my test paper, I glanced at Victoria's ice-cold face again. Wanted to pick a fight. Her way of speaking was colder than a winter's day, and I, the paying customer, was not happy. Could you not be so icy? Try to sound a little more human. She said expressionlessly, Student, you've gotten this question wrong so many times. It seems your IQ might not be up to par. I roll my eyes. No wonder the male lead isn't interested in you. Male lead? What are you talking about? She looked at me, confused. Today, she changed her look. She took off her glasses, tied up her hair, and put on some light makeup. Surprisingly, she was actually quite pretty. Her features were delicate, her eyes and brows like a painting. Her lips were red, teeth white, and her skin was as smooth as porcelain. If Lin Qingyao was an unattainable fairy, then Victoria was an otherworldly ice beauty. I sized up her faded hoodie and washed out jeans. Being so pretty, why don't you become a streamer? Thanks for the suggestion. Maybe another time. Can we focus on the questions now? I'm sure on time. I still have to go work at the bubble tea shop. Oh, just as I finished the last problem and stretched, I looked up and locked eyes with Serena Sinclair. She was clutching a workbook in her hand, staring intently over here. Her gaze made me intensely uncomfortable. In that moment, I felt like a cheating scumbag caught red-handed. After a few seconds of staring, she shoved the book onto the shelf and walked away without looking back. My heart sank. Was she jealous? Wait, why did she have to be jealous? What grounds did she have? Victoria Taylor finished writing the last formula, glanced up at me, and said, "Pretty girls are nice to look at, but physics is a better investment of your time. Knowledge is something you earn and keep, but beautiful women will never truly belong to you." I retorted, annoyed. Well said. This time I was genuinely angry, and I didn't go looking for Serena Sinclair for days. Life away from Serena Sinclair wasn't peaceful either. One day, I was at a bar with friends, and we ran into a couple of social media influencers. I'd seen them at Serena Sinclair's parties before, and now they crowded around, trying to get me to drink. I politely refused. "Sorry, I don't drink with people I'm not familiar with." That woman, like a rabid dog, grabbed my arm and sneered. "Ethan, what are you pretending to be all high and mighty for? I'm toasting you because I think you're worth it. Do you still think you're the young master of the Chin family? Your adoptive parents disowned you a long time ago. You better let go, or I'm calling the police. Go ahead and call. Are you still hoping Serena Sinclair will come to your rescue? She's got no time to care whether you live or die right now." I clicked my tongue in annoyance. Although I'd learned some self-defense, I don't hit women. Just as I was hesitating, a figure pushed through the crowd and shoved the influencer aside. It was Victoria Taylor, wearing her milk tea shop uniform. "How dare you push me?" the influencer shrieked. "You low-life shop girl. I'll make sure you can't survive on this street." Seeing the situation about to spiral out of control, the bar owner promptly appeared. "Young Master Ethan, are you all right?" He turned to the group of influencers. "Should we call the police? This gentleman is our valued guest. He had been hoping to get me to invest, but this commotion probably ruined his chances." Victoria Taylor and I walked down the midnight street. She had just gotten off work and ran into this mess, looking utterly dejected. But I was pondering a deeper question. If Victoria Taylor had never fallen to rock bottom, never tasted despair, would she still have become who she is now? Would she still have become that hateful villain? Although she was taciturn and aloof, she was kind to heart. Why couldn't she have a bright future? Since the author isn't willing to give you a chance, then let me, this restless male supporting character, change the plot. Hungry? Want to grab some late-night snacks? She hesitated for a moment, then finally nodded in agreement. She was still wearing her milk tea shop uniform, the yellow fabric stark against the dim lighting. I frowned. "You're off work? Change already." Surprisingly, she didn't retort coldly. She silently took off her jacket, revealing a convenience store uniform underneath. I couldn't help but ask, "Victoria, you're not still working part-time at the convenience store, are you?" She nodded slightly. Victoria Taylor had a seriously ill mother, a younger brother in high school, and a father in jail for fraud. I was shocked when I learned all this. "What about your plans for graduate school?" She gave a wry smile. "You know how things are at home." I nodded. It was all mentioned in the original novel. Before my transmigration into this book, I had a tough life too. Chatting, I learned she also knew how to draw. My eyes lit up. "Have you ever considered working in game art?" She hesitated for a moment, but declined. "Not right now. If you were to do it now, I'd be willing to invest $2 million. Her face changed, and she said seriously, "Young Master Ethan, I've offended you in the past. Please forgive me." I decided to invest $2 million in Victoria Taylor. Although it was just pocket change to me. If it could help change her life, why not give it a shot? Serena Sinclair stopped coming to see me. At first, I didn't think much of it. 10 days later, my system points were running out, and I started to panic. I want to ask around about Serena Sinclair. Her girlfriend hemmed and hawed for a while, only saying that she had gone abroad. So she went abroad. It's not like it's a life or death situation. What's with all the fuss? Serena Sinclair going abroad was actually expected. After all, in the original novel, she was a rich and beautiful woman who returned from studying abroad. But her leaving like this made it impossible to contact her. That was unexpected. When Mrs. Sinclair called, I was drowning my sorrows at a bar. After simping for so long, I had to let loose a little. I froze for a second when I saw the phone screen, then hurried outside. After all, I'd played the innocent guy for so long, I couldn't let my mask slip now. Ethan, have you been in touch with Serena lately? I scratched my head and honestly replied, Auntie, we've had some disagreements recently. She was clearly taken aback and said in surprise, no wonder she's been acting a bit off lately. Well, you see, Serena wants to study abroad. Her dad is being very firm, said some harsh things, and things have been very tense between them. I hope you can help talk some sense into her. Let me know if you hear anything. And he transferred some spending money to thank me and said, just let me know if you need anything. My phone buzzed and I opened it to see, wow, 2 million. Count on me, Auntie. I chirped, beaming. Then I'm leaving in your hands, Ethan. 2 million for playing lapdog? Not a bad deal. Serena Sinclair's family dynamic was quite unique. Her parents had a great relationship, but lived apart for work. Serena was the only child in the Sinclair family, and Mr. Sinclair had always envisioned her taking over the family business. The old man expected her to step into the CEO role right after graduation, but who knew this girl would insist on going abroad for further studies? This infuriated Mr. Sinclair, who promptly froze her credit card and instructed relatives and friends not to give her a dime. I texted her tentatively, Miss Serena Sinclair, where are you? Your humble servant misses you terribly. She replied with a video clip, me in a flashy shirt, swaying drunkenly at a bar. I sighed, rubbing my forehead. This girl had connections everywhere. I quickly sent a voice message. Hey, miss, just tell me where you are, please. Her voice sounded sleepy. What is it? Just want to apologize in person. Give me a chance? She sent me a location. To my surprise, she'd moved to an old, run-down neighborhood in the suburbs. Pushing open the door, the place was so bare it was heartbreaking. I couldn't help but blurt out, is it really this tough? She seemed unfazed, handing me a bottle of water. Saving up for studying abroad. Have you eaten? I nodded, watching her expertly prepare instant noodles. From tearing open the packet to adding the seasoning, it was all done in one smooth motion. It tugged at my heartstrings. When had I ever seen Miss Serena endure such hardship? Thinking about her father, always in meetings, her mother, constantly busy with charity work, and her aunt, jet-setting around the world. The whole family lived in the lap of luxury, yet she was the one suffering. It was just too much. Staring at her bowl of noodles, I suddenly said, Hey, can I have a bite? She smiled wryly and pushed the bowl towards me. Eating those noodles, I silently cursed myself for being even more of a jerk. Serena Sinclair sighed softly and got up to cook another bowl. After eating, I sprawled on her worn-out little sofa, completely content. Watching her clear the dishes for a fleeting moment, I imagined we were just an ordinary couple. The thought sent a shiver down my spine, and I quickly changed the subject. So, tell me about your study abroad plans. If it's feasible, I can sponsor you. The 2 million her mother gave must have been hoping I'd help her out. Serena Sinclair looked up at me, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Me? Looking down on me? I've actually done pretty well with investments and finances these past few years. Saved up a bit of money. I opened my mobile banking app to show her, and she was stunned, looking me up and down. Thought I was just a simp, a useless idiot? Ever since I transmigrated into this book, besides trying to gain points with the female lead, I've spent most of my time on managing my finances. I said with a bit of smugness, you want to study abroad now, and I happen to be interested in sponsoring you. In this situation, I'm probably the only one who'd dare to invest in you, right? But let's be clear, I can fund your study abroad expenses, but you have to agree to one condition. She agreed almost without thinking. I chuckled inwardly. When the male lead shows up later, I could just find any excuse to see her. I decided to sponsor Serena Sinclair to study abroad, not because I had much faith in her. It was mainly to make her owe me a favor, so I could have more control. Seeing her grateful expression, I couldn't resist teasing her. If you really think I've helped you a lot, why not give me a grand gesture? Call me your benefactor? The result was a loud thud, and I was kicked out the door. At that time, I hadn't realized how serious things were. In the book, Serena Sinclair never went abroad to study. After getting her master's degree, she directly took over Sinclair Group and became the new generation head. But this one in front of me insisted on going her own way, determined to study abroad. I could only comfort myself that there must be many side plots in the novel, as long as the main direction doesn't change. I'm just waiting for the male lead to appear now, and then send him to the villainous female supporting character's bed, and my part will be over. Thinking of this, I couldn't contain my inner anticipation. Where would that charming male lead be right now? Should I ask someone to inquire about his news? Forget it. Save money where I can. Hanging out with Yishu Yao for so long, I've also learned to be frugal. Recently, I've been tight on cash and was thinking about selling a few luxury watches when I unexpectedly ran into my nemesis. He swaggered over, wrist flashing his limited edition watch, and gave me a disdainful look. Isn't this young Master Chun, fallen from grace, now reduced to pawning stuff? I couldn't be bothered to argue with him, and continued to haggle with the shop owner. Boss, this watch is still in its original packaging. Can you add a little more? The owner said with difficulty. At most, I can add another 500. Seeing that I ignored him, my nemesis got even more aggressive. Beg me, and I'll take them all for 300,000. It's better than you selling them off cheap, right? Without another word, I thrust the watch in front of him. Please, sir, I'm begging you. He stomped his foot in frustration. Ethan, you're so spineless. No wonder Serena Sinclair looks down on you. I almost blurted out, as if she'd ever look at you even if you did have a spine, but for the sake of the sale, I forced a smile. Yeah, she's never been interested in guys like me. That seemed to hit a nerve. He looked at me with a complicated expression, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. Seeing him hesitate, I pressed, So, are you buying it or not? If not, I'll find another buyer. He gritted his teeth, scanned the QR code, and turned to leave, not forgetting to remind me to deliver the watch to his house. 30,000 richer, I was in such a good mood that even the stray cats on the street looked adorable. The watch dealer gave me a knowing look. So, I'm just a pawn in your game, huh? I quickly reassured him. These are just ordinary pieces. I have plenty of better stuff at home. I'll invite you over to take a look sometime. He actually took me up on the offer. He went to my place, took one look, and practically ran out, covering his eyes. Next time you have any of this ordinary stuff, remember me. This level is about all I can handle. I touched my nose awkwardly. Definitely. My nemesis posted about me selling watches on her social media, and somehow it got back to Serena Sinclair. She showed up at my door in the middle of the night, clutching a bank card. Seeing how exhausted she looked, I teased, Out this late? Don't tell me you picked up a night shift. She ignored my jab, her eyes filled with a complex emotion I chose to interpret as concern. This is my scholarship money. Take it. I don't want you selling things anymore. I paused, then said softly, You don't understand. Flipping watches is a good business right now. It's like girls flipping designer bags. The air suddenly went still. Serena Sinclair looked utterly drained, like she'd just pulled an all-nighter at the library. Seeing how tired she was, I hesitantly invited her in to rest. To my surprise, the princess actually agreed. It's too expensive to take a cab this late, she explained. TSK, looks like she's starting to understand the value of a dollar. Victoria is a rising star in the business world, all right. 3 months after my investment, her game went viral, and I made a killing. Counting my dividends, I messaged her, thinking about increasing my investment, but you need to focus on games for female players. Staring at the typing indicator on the screen, I anticipated her reply. Just then, Serena Sinclair coughed softly. I looked up to see her standing there in my pajamas, her cheeks flushed. Her flushed cheeks filled my vision, and I couldn't help but scrutinize her from head to toe, swallowing hard. Sarah awkwardly said, I didn't bring a bra. I stammered, Maybe I could buy you one. On the way back, I secretly regretted it. What was I doing, lusting after the female lead like that? I was being way too pathetic as a simp. Maybe I should find a girlfriend to distract myself? Save myself from thinking about nonsense all day long. When I returned, I even picked out a comfortable nightgown for Sarah. This young lady really didn't consider herself an outsider, drinking craft beer and taking a call. I faintly heard her angry voice. Why should I listen to your arrangements? Don't I deserve to live the life I want? At that moment, I suddenly understood that even if she was just a character in a book, she still had independent thoughts and aspirations. She was more than just a fictional role. She put down the phone and took another swig of craft beer. I walked over with the shopping bag. Looking at her watery eyes, I teased, Missy, drinking alone? She couldn't help but smile, her usually aloof almond-shaped eyes filled with laughter, and I seemed to see my own reflection in them. What nonsense are you thinking about all day? Gazing at her rosy lips, I blurted out, I want to kiss you. The words were barely out of my mouth before I regretted them. I awkwardly laughed and stepped back. I didn't mean it like that. She moved closer to me, wrapping one arm around my waist and the other around the back of my neck, and kissed me. I dazedly glanced at her, seeing only teasing in her eyes, as if mocking my hesitation. Who's afraid of who? When I came to my senses, my arms were already around her slender waist, the touch so soft it was intoxicating. Sarah was pushed to the floor, her towel loosened, and my gentle caress elicited a soft moan. She tightened her arms around my neck, deepening the kiss. Just then, the phone rang. Seeing Emma's call, I jolted and pushed Sarah away to answer. What is it? What's an escape room game? I suppressed my anger. It's a puzzle-solving game where players have to escape a locked room within a limited time by finding clues. I don't know much about it specifically, Emma thoughtfully replied. That kind of niche game sounds interesting. I'll look into it. I angrily hung up the phone. Coming to my senses, I looked at Sarah and immediately felt guilty. No matter how beautiful she was, she belonged to the male lead. I shouldn't cross the line. I helped her straighten her pajamas. Go change clothes. She rubbed her brow, hurt in her eyes. Ethan, what am I to you? Just a scorekeeping tool. I stared at her in shock, my voice trembling. You know about this? I could hear you talking to that system from the first day you approached me. Have you ever been genuinely good to me? She laughed self-deprecatingly. Everyone says you're head over heels for me, but have you ever really liked me? I didn't dare meet her gaze, licking my lips as I spoke. You're destined for the male lead. When he appears, you'll fall deeply in love with him, and you'll even give up your studies to go back and inherit your family business. She gazed at me for a long time, her eyes filled with disappointment. Does such a person really exist? I really want to meet him and see if someone can truly make me give up my dreams of all these years. Ethan, let's wait and see if your plot comes true, or if I am the one who's real. Sarah Sinclair left. I frustratedly ran my hands through my hair. This mission is killing me. To help Victoria understand escape room games, I introduced her to William Fitzgerald, a veteran player. William Fitzgerald was very cold at first and even grumbled to me. Girls who play this probably just want to pick up guys. I explained, maybe she wants to get into game development or something. He said without hesitation, absolutely impossible. Sometime later, I contacted William Fitzgerald to buy watches, but he said he was busy guiding Victoria in playing games and wasn't taking orders for the time being. I was speechless. Didn't you say she just wanted to pick up guys? William Fitzgerald sent a message, sounding wronged. She's paying too much, $1,400 per day, and she doesn't even want the principal back. It's way better than selling watches. That made sense. Looking at the watch on my wrist, I fell into thought. Should I open my own secondhand watch shop? Nah, opening a shop is too tiring. It's better to find a chance to cooperate with William Fitzgerald and expand the secondhand watch business. Just as I was thinking this, the system suddenly reminded me. The male lead has arrived on the scene. They will meet today. My heart tightened. The story was finally about to unfold. Sarah Sinclair had met her destined person, and I could finally retire with mission accomplished. I should be happy, but why did I feel so sad in my heart? A few days later, William Fitzgerald complained to me. I'm going to have to do both. Business is exceptionally good, especially with those watches of yours. As soon as they come in, they get snapped up. When Victoria's first escape room game was launched, the response was unexpectedly good. When I attended the shareholders' meeting, I bluntly pointed out the flaws in their marketing and promotion strategies. Victoria took my suggestions seriously and wrote them down. Once everyone else had left the meeting room, and it was just the two of us, I hesitantly asked if she had a white moonlight, someone she could never forget. A flicker of confusion crossed her bright eyes. Is this some kind of new game plot setting? Me. I changed my approach and probed. How about acting out a scene where someone gets drugged? Just to experience life. She looked at me with a hint of helplessness. If you're bored, why don't you take over my work and let me go relax for a couple of days? I wasn't giving up. Really? Not even a little bit interested? Victoria, even though you're a major shareholder, if you're serious, I'll have to call the police. Me? This ruthless villainess is actually saying she'll call the police on me? Is the script wrong? Who's the bad guy here anyway? Victoria looked at me apologetically. You know, I'm a law-abiding citizen. This villainess is infuriatingly righteous. Looking at this positive and upright villainess, I felt genuinely relieved. Being proper is good, very good. To prevent her from suddenly having a drastic personality change, I continued to probe. Have you really never had a crush on anyone? Someone juggling 3 jobs doesn't have time to think about romance, she said with a hint of self-deprecation. Good, good, good. Being busy is good. Now that I don't have to follow the plot for a while, I started focusing on studying entrepreneurship. I plan to establish a venture capital firm. One person's power is ultimately limited, but if we can gather the wisdom of more people, the returns should be even greater. I needed to find a partner, and after repeated screening within the circle, I finally settled on Alex. The reason I chose him is simple. This guy has money, resources, and principles. The only downside is that our relationship isn't very harmonious. But who am I? I've seen the ups and downs of human relationships since I was a child. I have plenty of ways to improve our relationship. When I was 13, my parents took me for a medical checkup, and they accidentally discovered that our blood types didn't match. After a thorough investigation, They found out I wasn't their biological son. They kept this a secret, and while searching for their real son, they became increasingly cold towards me. When I was in 10th grade, I was falsely accused of bullying a classmate, and it blew up into a huge scandal. That's when my adoptive parents severed ties with me. They sent a fixed sum of money every year, but they never ask about my life anymore. It was also around that time that the system approached me, and I remembered everything from my previous life. I started pursuing Serena Sinclair, the school beauty who I wouldn't have even glanced at before. Being Serena Sinclair's lapdog is actually pretty easy. Her attitude towards me is lukewarm, just the right amount of indifference. On the contrary, because I'm often around her, it saved me a lot of trouble. Even if someone wants to mess with me, they have to think twice about Serena Sinclair's reputation. Alex Carter, on the other hand, has been a good friend since childhood. Even knowing I'm a fake young master, he didn't distance himself from me. It's me who neglected him in order to earn points. Back then, he was disappointed in me, thinking I only knew how to chase girls all day long and had no ambition. But bro, chasing after her is my mission. Otherwise, where would I get points to exchange for stuff? I really had a hard time explaining myself. When I went to find Alex Carter, he was still a bit awkward. Don't thank me just because I said a few words for you. I just can't stand them bullying people. It has nothing to do with you. Me? Is this? Did someone talk bad about me again? But that's not the point. I put on a professional smile to make myself look more professional. I'm here to talk about cooperation. He seemed to realize he had misunderstood something, coughed softly, and used drinking coffee to cover up his embarrassment. What kind of cooperation can we have? Someone like you who only cares about dating all day, I wouldn't dare to cooperate with. I'm planning to open a venture capital firm recently. I remember you used to be very interested in investment. These are some projects I've invested in. Take a look. I'm quite confident in my judgment. He raised an eyebrow, seemingly not quite believing it. I calmly handed over the proposal. In the area of investment, I think I'm still a bit talented. Putting aside personal grudges, cooperating with me should be a good choice. Alex Carter put away his arrogant attitude, picked up the proposal, and glanced at it. Leave it here. I'll seriously consider it. Seeing that my goal was achieved, I nodded and took my leave. Serena Sinclair's study abroad plan fell through. The news came suddenly, and I was very surprised. She had already received an offer from an Ivy League university, and it was a full scholarship. I've seen her application materials and transcript. Her qualifications are excellent, and she had just recently obtained her visa. Everything was ready, and logically speaking, this kind of unexpected situation shouldn't have happened. Serena Sinclair's best friend hesitated for a long time before saying, "Ethan, go see her. She's been preparing for this opportunity for years, and I'm worried she can't take this blow." I knew my eyelid had been twitching lately. Turns out it was because of something this big. Whether Serena Sinclair is okay or not, I don't know, but I'm so angry I'm about to explode. I won't let her do anything stupid. Throwing down those words, I immediately booked a flight to Springfield. I was incredibly worried about Sarah Sinclair. Unable to reach her by phone, I resorted to asking the system for help. After a moment's hesitation, it revealed her location. The mission wasn't complete, after all, and I was still her devoted follower. I found her sitting alone on a rooftop, lost in thought. She clearly hadn't expected me and looked startled. The whole way there, I've been frantically researching, trying to figure out what problem she might be facing and how best to help. Yet, here she was, seemingly carefree. "What are you doing here?" she asked indifferently. "I heard your family won't let you study abroad, so you ran away. No one could find you. My education is my own business. You needn't worry." Tisk. I turned to leave. She hurried after me, catching my sleeve. "Stay with me? The moon is beautiful tonight." "Not in the mood," I said dismissively. A smile played on her lips. "I'm sorry for making you worry." I ignored her, but she continued, undeterred. "The main character you mentioned, we do know each other. But after reconnecting, I realized he's just a regular classmate. He's nothing special to me. Did you misunderstand something?" Then she added, "Ethan, it's always been you." Perhaps it was the gentle night breeze or the soothing chirping of insects, but the night felt strangely poetic. My resolve wavered. It felt like if I agreed, she would be mine forever. But I knew that was impossible. She was the story's heroine, and a supporting character like me shouldn't harbor such hopes. "You should focus on sorting out your own situation first," I said softly. "If I become resolute, will you accept me?" she whispered back. What did resolute even mean? There was no right answer, so I remained silent. Sarah Sinclair leaned against the railing, pointing at the North Star. "Life is a vast wilderness. The world is ours to explore. Ethan, I yearn for freedom. I don't want to be bound by any shackles." A rare smile illuminated her face, making her radiant. She was such a fiercely independent woman. Suddenly it dawned on me. The protagonist had already broken free from the confines of the script, while I was still clinging to the plot. I had never truly treated them as equals. My supposed omniscient perspective seemed so ridiculous. In the end, Sarah Sinclair persuaded her father, and her plans to study abroad went ahead. This whole study abroad situation was actually a power struggle between Serena Sinclair and her father. Fortunately, she won the right to make her own choices. I also made my own way, earning significant profits after founding a venture capital firm. And then I got involved in charity work in rural mountain areas, which I loved. Alex Carter always asked, puzzled, why go to all this trouble? Wouldn't it be easier to just donate money? Things given as handouts. How can people cherish them? I replied, creating job opportunities is what gives them hope. Alex Carter suggested I take the civil service exam, saying I was suited for grassroots work. I joked, having transmigrated once is rare enough. Let's not be so down to earth. Alex Carter was still his usual unapproachable self. Although he frowned at me, every time the company ran into trouble, he was always the first to step up. Recently, there was also an unexpected discovery. William Fitzgerald was actually the heir to a very wealthy family. I even attended his family recognition ceremony. Everyone thought we would be at each other's throats. But when we met that day, he first complained about Victoria for ages, and then went on and on about Serena Sinclair. It turned out that Serena Sinclair had been buying my used watches from him at a premium. He sighed, am I just a tool for you guys? These things surprised me a lot, because Serena Sinclair had never mentioned any of it. Interestingly, according to the script, William Fitzgerald was supposed to be a petty villain, not only becoming my enemy due to a fight over family status, but also having designs on Serena Sinclair. In reality, he was incredibly grateful to me, saying it was thanks to me, this sucker who bought his watches at a premium without ever haggling, that he accumulated startup funds in college, laying the foundation for his later success. Clearly, in this novel, I was the only one still rigidly sticking to the plot. Seeing the plot was falling apart, the system said pathetically, this was my first assignment. I comforted it. Don't be too sad, your future performances might not be any better. The system, already dejected, got so mad it just vanished. My days were simple, but fulfilling. Occasionally, when I went to Serena Sinclair City, we'd have dinner together. One day, when I was on a business trip to the US, I took some time to visit her lab and happened to catch her just as she was heading to chair a group meeting. She was wearing a lab coat and delicate gold-rimmed glasses, exuding an air of intellectual elegance. Looking at her, it suddenly dawned on me, wasn't she the ideal partner I had always been looking for? I remember back in high school, chatting with Alex, I'd gushed about my admiration for artists, especially those elegant painters. The words were barely out of my mouth when I noticed Sarah standing behind me. She walked past with a cold expression. Back then, I was just starting to pursue Miss Lynn and was incredibly shy, so I avoided Sarah for a long time afterward. I was chasing Miss Lynn while simultaneously fawning over other girls. Thinking back, I was such a hypocrite. Sarah probably saw right through me. Now, Sarah was giving me a sweet smile. Wait for me for 30 minutes. I nodded, and she led me to her lounge. Honestly, a thrill shot through me. Before we even reached the lounge, I overheard some guys talking around the corner. Miss Lynn actually has a boyfriend? No way. She usually ignores us, but she's smiling like a flower around her boyfriend. What a difference. Sarah appeared behind them, her voice icy. David, the lab needs cleaning. You're in charge. After settling me in, she went to her meeting, completely ignoring the dumbfounded guys. The system remained silent for a long time before suddenly speaking. This one is the male lead. The story had completely derailed. Its tone was flat. I must inform you that due to mission failure, you are now permanently bound to this world. I didn't really mind. My assets here were even greater than in the real world. After saying goodbye to the system, I felt a little lost, and soon drowsiness overtook me. I slept soundly, and in my dream, I heard Sarah say, "Would you like to see my lab?" I chuckled. Wouldn't that be inappropriate? A soft laugh echoed in my ear, and I opened my eyes to see Sarah leaning over me. What sweet dreams were you having? You were smiling so much. I couldn't tell if I was dreaming or awake, but my hand instinctively pointed towards her study. Can I see your lab? Just then, Sarah's father arrived. Looking at the imposing Mr. Sinclair, I froze. Was this the obligatory disapproving parent scene? Mr. Sinclair slid a document towards me. Ethan, this is 10% of Sinclair Group's shares. I'd like to make a deal with you. I pretended to consider for a moment. This proposal isn't entirely unreasonable. When Sarah arrived, I was enjoying some freshly brewed tea with Mr. Sinclair. Without a word, she pulled me up. I was completely baffled. She acted like I'd committed some terrible crime by having a cup of tea. Dad, please don't interfere in my love life. Ethan, did my dad bribe you? I'll double whatever he offered. I pretended to hesitate and said, Are you sure? Mr. Sinclair is offering 10% of Sinclair Group stock. Serena Sinclair was instantly speechless. She knew exactly how important that amount of shares was. She and her mother combined didn't even hold 8%. Her eyes welled up, realizing she probably couldn't save up that much even if she worked for 50 years. So, she said, Are you really going to give up on our relationship? Miss Sinclair looked so pitiful at that moment. Your dad's condition is for me to marry you, and then take over Sinclair Group. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Miss Sinclair's face changed instantly. She lunged forward, hugged her father, and rubbed her face against his suit. Mr. Sinclair was taken aback by this sudden display of affection and hurriedly straightened his clothes. Serena Sinclair, don't be so childish. At this moment, her mother also caught on and quickly came out from the corner. Old Lynn, are you testing us, mother and daughter? Mr. Sinclair straightened his tie and said calmly, Otherwise, how else would I get you two to come to the company more often? Watching the harmonious Sinclair family in front of me, I smiled sincerely. Maybe spending my life with Serena Sinclair really was a good choice. I looked at Mrs. Sinclair, thinking to myself, this future mother-in-law is the company's star designer. How can I let her waste her talent by binge-watching dramas all day? Extra chapter. On the day Victoria and William Fitzgerald got married, I was the best man. When William Fitzgerald recited his vows, he was so moved that tears streamed down his face. Victoria carefully wiped away his tears. This scene warmed my heart, and I immediately texted Serena Sinclair. I want this for us too. 6 months prior, William Fitzgerald's family wanted him to go on a blind date with a rich heiress. He strongly objected and ended up under house arrest by his family. Victoria eventually noticed something was amiss and rescued him. William Fitzgerald had always harbored feelings for Victoria, and this time he seized the opportunity and successfully confessed his love. Their relationship progressed rapidly, making me incredibly envious. That night, Serena Sinclair rushed back from Newport and asked me tentatively, When are we getting married? I sized her up and said, Unless you put on that crystal necklace I gave you and show me. Serena Sinclair agreed immediately. At that moment, she didn't realize it was a custom-made engagement necklace. A month later, Serena Sinclair returned from a business trip. I picked her up at the airport, and when we hugged, I felt something hard poking me under her clothes. I asked her curiously what it was. She took my hand and guided it towards her neckline, her eyes twinkling with amusement. Of course, it's the crystal necklace you gave me. I was taken aback. Then, I whispered in her ear, Serena Sinclair, will you marry me?